Okay, everybody. Thought we'd entertain you with a quick clip at the beginning. I didn't realise just how quick it was. It was over before I clicked. Okay, that was a clip. I've called it Oink Oink. I think it may have been filmed as Second Life, but it's by an old friend of ours called Cole Marie Soleil. She was on this show many, many years ago. We just thought it was cute. Puts us in the mood. Puts us in the mood rather nicely for the Open Sim Fest, which is unlike the Open Sim Conference. The Open Sim Fest is like a fun sort of event with performers, arts, and everything else. Gives more to the actual users and having fun rather than just talking about it or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, it opened on Friday and. I was in there. I was intending to film, but it was actually filmed by somebody else anyway. Karima Hoizan's set where she was reciting poetry. Unfortunately, I was expecting her to have some wonderful machinima behind her, as well. Doggies, definitely doggies.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Woof. Right. Okay. Fair enough. But she just has still images. Anyway, we've got a nice film of that. I'm not showing it today because we've got a fair bit to talk about. First of all, I'd like to introduce our guests, and this is a bit haphazard at the moment. Firstly, James Atlloud is here, of course, doing all the fiddling of the knobs. So, welcome, James.
Oh, thanks, Mal. Glad to be here.
I'm also joined by a regular here who is Thurza member of Hypergrowth Safari and everything. So welcome, Thurza.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Last week, midweek, when was it? Wednesday was actually the final safari for the season. The new seasons are shorter, and we've just had the second season of the revival, as it were. So we'll be talking a bit about that and a couple of the ones before that, if we can get it all in. We'll also be talking about the Sim Festival, which, as I say, opened on Friday and went on yesterday. And of course, it's continuing today, and it's actually open for about 17 days. But I don't think the non-stop entertainments that we've had so far will be quite as live over the all 17 days. We also have Weather's Whirly Placebo, who's a musician who was actually performing earlier today. We have some difficulty getting him onto our regular voice channel, but I'm keeping an eye on anything you might say, Inworld, and as we move on and partake, so to speak. Whirly did a dirty on me earlier, but it wasn't. It was all great fun, really. I barely got myself into position with an animation on when he over the loudspeaker of the stream, he said, "Hey, Mal, come up here on the stage and sing with me." And I have no comment on what happened next, but Thurza was there.
There was whistling, is all I can say, people. There was some whistling.
I can't whistle, so it wasn't me. We tried.
Yeah, we found that out a little too late.
Oh, a bit too late, yes, indeed. We tried to do harmonies on Dock at the Bay. I knew how it went, but I couldn't remember the exact words. Sitting on Dock at the Bay, watching the tide draw away or something. I knew how it went. I couldn't remember the words. Anyway, it was great fun. First time that's happened to me, and it was so spontaneous. It was
that's
so
the
quick.
First time I've seen that happen in an open sim. So first for all of us.
I didn't really have time to say no, and of course, what I didn't realise was that they actually had Inworld voice on as well as the stream. So presumably you were.
Yeah, I did not realise that either.
Yeah, so you were probably yeah. So all I had to do was jump on the stage and put my voice on, and the least said about it, the better. But that was quite funny. I noticed. Right, well, seat has just become empty. What? I don't know what's happened there.
I think we lost him.
Yeah, whether we lost him from here or whether he's trying to get over onto Discord and then continue, I don't know. Anyway, we will continue. Okay, so um, let's just Thursday, because I know you've only got an hour or so. Let's try and catch up on various things. It was called Marie Soleil. Yeah, of course it was short. Right. Some here I wanted to run. Right. Okay. As well as the recent safaris, and midweek was the last one, of course. There were two actual quite big events. One of which I don't seem to have the film of really, which was the closing. It's really just a dance of stuff really for the Metropolis grid, which is a sad thing, but. Um,
Yes.
I keep saying Museum of the Moving Image. It's not. It's what is it called? The
No, of the
Museum.
Metaverse. Museum of the
Museum.
Metaverse.
Okay. This has been run. It's on the Craft Grid, which is largely Italian too. And of course, you're at home there first, of course. But there was a kind of party basically for Rosanna Galvini.
Hmm.
And we'll
That's
talk
right.
about that in a minute. But one of the things that was actually shown there, which I managed to dig up afterwards, was a video tribute to her. So I thought, well, I can't
Oh,
wait.
excellent.
I've
Yes.
got to show it. I've got to show it on this show. So here it is. You might know the soundtrack too.
Yeah, it's familiar.
So you think you can tell heaven from hell, blue skies from there? Can you tell a green field from a cold steel air? A smile from a bed. Do you think you can tell? Did they get you to try? Your heroes for ghosts, or ashes for trees, or life for our good dreams, God comfort for change. And if you exchange a walk on board in the war for a hero in a cage. How I wish you were here. Each of us two lost souls living in a fishbowl, year after year, running over the same old ground.
He's done so many things. It's incredible when you look back like that.
Wish you were here.
Oh, where's the thingy gone? I'm sorry, folks. I'm just trying to get Whirly connected on sound, and of course that meant bringing the Mastodon window here forwards, and I can't for the life of me see all the playback sort of stuff. So, as you can
Well,
see,
that's always nice to see because we're looking at that Cutiolala place where we went a couple of weeks ago
Yeah,
over there
with the bus
on the
ride.
Winkstopia. That was such fun, wasn't it?
It
And
was
that
fun.
smooth script. Oh my gosh. To die for. But going back to the video you showed before with Rox,
yeah,
she's just an amazing human being. She worked for many years as in local government as an organizer of cultural events for her small town, which is on the seaside. So they depend a lot on tourists and cultural events for the economy of the town. So it's a pretty important job. And so she just is naturally very good at organizing things and wonderful at trying to get people from the real world, if you like, involved in the metaverse. And in fact, right this week, she just had an event in Second Life, which was a part of a podcast all about a museum that there is in a town called San Benedetto del Tronto, which is on the Adriatic coast, where they have a museum all about the sea. And so she managed to convince one of the museum directors to come in World and do this podcast. Use it amongst the avatars, and they were explaining all about the history of fishing in Italy and about the relationship between the sea and the fisherman, the man and the ocean, and the difference between the man on the land and the man in the ocean. So it was incredibly interesting to see what she managed to do, bringing in a way the real world into virtual worlds, but also encouraging people with jobs in real life museums to understand that there's this huge audience in virtual worlds who could potentially be the public of tomorrow, really. So it's how important it is to keep that door open between the two kinds of realities. Because, of
absolutely.
course, we're all passing between those two realities all the time. Anyway, so she's a very generous lady. She puts her artists first, but she's a dynamo. She gets things done, and it's just I'm very proud to know her. And it was a lovely party. There's so many friends came. People from the very beginning, 15 years ago, came in World. People that don't very often use virtual worlds anymore actually came in specially just to greet her and say a few words. So it
Yeah.
was lovely.
I did notice a few older names, shall we say,
Yes.
there too. So it's yeah, really nice event. I do actually have my own film of that event, but I'm not sure we ever got it across. So wait, do you remember where? Actually, I might have it. It might be later down. Um, I'm trying to separate the OS Festival stuff here from. Do you well, you know the one we're showing right now? Do you recall which region this was?
It's
We'll
Winkstropia and it's called Gardenia Town. I want to say
right,
Gardenia Town or Gardenia City.
right.
There's
Yeah, I took a
Ash
lot of
right
film.
there in the front. That
Yeah, we all got stuck on the yeah. There she
was
is.
fun though.
It was. I just kept filming, and then I went into the air, and I thought, does this ever do a full circuit? You know, just turns this
It's
way and that.
incredible because it's only like this really. She showed me the texture palette
Yeah.
and basically it's like one texture on the whole place. And she
Ah.
managed to, yeah, so it's really low lag for that reason. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a commercial
But
grid,
this.
and yet we were what 20 of us, and didn't feel any lag at all.
Yeah, it's got these. I don't know whether they're Animesh avatars or NPCs. I think they're Animesh. An awful lot of them. But she's gone for primary colours. It's got that what I call the Toy Town feel. You know, there's
Exactly.
I don't know,
Yeah.
the old kids program. You know, Toy Town, and it's got detail in terms of the form and structure, but everything primary basic colours like a really old cartoon, except in colour. You know, but yeah, that's wonderful. I'm going to jump ahead a bit on these clips. We haven't got that much time, but I hate to think that there's something here that we're not seeing. Oh, right. How long ago was this? Cutelow Park. Um, Oh, this is quite short. This one. Um, This is what I mean. We're so many weeks later. I'm trying to remember what this was. This was certainly on the 22nd. This was on the 22nd of
Ah,
June.
no, that's the same
Oh,
day. That's the same day. It's the fun fair. It's
right, of
just that
course.
it hasn't quite rezzed for you completely.
Yes,
You
and
got a few missing bits.
I completely lost the touring bus or whatever it was on the Helter Skelter, because unless you can see it at the top, you can't catch it. It's in the middle bit there somewhere, you know. Okay, well, I'll
Uh,
move along for that one. These are all the same day. Here, this is where we started to take off in the same thing, and that Helter
they're
Skelter.
planning another adventure for us, which will be actually in the new year, believe it or not. I'm already booking the first season of 2023 now.
Oh,
And
right.
they have started planning for us to have an adventure over there. So
So the
looking forward to going
2003
back.
will be what? Season 4. We got another one
It'll be
this year.
well, I was thinking I don't know. Yeah, probably be season 1 of the year. Otherwise, it's too confusing. So each
Ah,
year is
but we
going
got
to have
another one
3
this year,
seasons.
haven't we? A third season for this year.
We
We've got
do. Season
one.
3 begins on the 14th of September with
Right,
Maria. We meet Maria.
Maria.
That's the first guest
Well,
or
Kovalov.
host, rather. Yeah.
Oh, good God,
Yes, it'll be fun.
she's still coming in world, is she?
She's
That's
coming in to
weird.
see us, well, which is very kind of her. I'm a fan,
Interesting.
and I think we all are really. So it'd be fun to get together with her.
Oh, yeah, very interesting.
Sorry.
Her blog's been quite busy this week, but it's mostly pages. It's just okay, woof, woof, woof. I wonder if you can hear me. I can bark back, you know. Do you know that?
Don't tell them we have cats.
Oh, oh. Oh dear. Right, okay.
Seriously. Yeah.
Moving on a little bit. Oh, right. The thing I remember most is that this woman has an extremely flexible chest. We better move on. It kept wobbling. She's obviously got some script that makes her anatomy do things. They're outrageous, aren't they, really? Come on, let's move on to something serious. Oh, yeah, this is another.
Oh,
Both,
this was brilliant, wasn't it? Oh my
it was
gosh.
me.
It actually felt like it was real.
Yeah, both I and James are here, by the way. I'm in well, you recognise me there, and James is just along a bit right up there. I can't catch up with him. Yeah, the camera, of course, is moving with the wheel, so it's giving a very dynamic effect. But I think I moved up into the sky a bit later, so I can see it from a different perspective. But yeah, it's funny. These are all, basically scripts that people have been able to write to make these objects move, and not only can you sit on them and you stay fixed while it moves, but the most of them are in a loop, but you can't necessarily tell, because you just feel it kind of moving. And obviously the other health skelter thing was a bit more like a railway track, but it was such a big construction. Okay, let's move on from this. That's my way of. Oh, who is this? This is very familiar, but who is
That is M. Jannings when we went to do the event for The Little Prince.
That's right. Okay, yeah, The Little Prince being a book, which well, the whole region is sort of modelled on it, wasn't it? A little bit.
Yes, it was made specially for the event.
Yeah.
A
No, I
Wizard
remember
Oz Crown.
that.
She spent
Yeah.
6 months almost building that, all for the event, and she involved Cherry, and Tina Bay did a beautiful thing with the little foxes. That's Tina's contribution, and it was just a very special place, and we're lucky that it will stay up for a while, so people can go and enjoy exploring it, because it's such a wonderful book, and
It
Em
was
did
very
such a great job reading.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah, the reading was very much part of it, of course, but it was also difficult to come around. I mean, I remember at one point she was up there with, was it a fox, I think, quite high up on one of the bills, and I suddenly was moving the camera and I was up in the air and suddenly thought, hang on, something's up there. We are, this bit. And, from the ground, unless you're in camera mode, you can't really see this at all. It would have had no idea the fox that you were up there. But
That's
yeah,
right.
you and a few other people ended up there in the end. I don't know how many. I don't think the vault was big enough to hold
Oh, the
everybody.
plane is great.
Yeah.
If you fly up to the plane and click on it, the propellers will start to move, and you can sit inside the plane. It's very pretty.
I missed that one.
Yeah, these are all places really worth going back to. Obviously, when we do the safari, it's just so short and the time we have. The same with this
Exactly.
place.
Yeah, this one was nice. It's
On
actually
Ines.
a relatively small set. It's just a single sim, I think, but there's a lot in it. And of course, this is the one we ended up underground, not realizing there's
Yes.
a whole chamber. I think this is the film I actually did when we landed, so I was busy sort of incognito panning around. And at this point in time, of course, I didn't have any idea about the underground complex. So I was just sort of filming it like this. I'll move on because we'll get the effect. This is Max
That's
Hill,
Max.
isn't it?
There he is, the man himself.
Basically, I had him on camera a lot because it's the easiest way to follow him around. My trick when I'm filming is, he's hosting, so I'm following him around on camera, and when he finally decides to stand still for a while, then I double click.
Which wasn't very often, actually.
Exactly, but then I double click over, to catch up, which is a good way of doing it because I can always keep the camera focused on where he's going. And this, of course, is when he's sort of more or less preparing to take us underground. I'll jump on a bit because I have a feeling that this next one, ooh, that was naughty. Right. This is 13-minute clip, so this is a long one. I'm going to shuffle forward a bit. Right. Oh, what we're doing there? Okay. We go into the woods for a bit, don't we? And then somehow we end up going underground. Oh yeah, down the steps. That figures.
Always handy.
How else would you get underground? Yeah. Very good. So I'll move it along a bit. As I say, it's a long film, but I'm.
So yes, because it's like a labyrinth of chambers. It's a little bit Indiana Jones.
It is, isn't it? Or
Aztec, a little bit
any of
Babylon.
those, what the computer games, what was it? They made movies of her too. The Tomb Raider kind of thing.
That's it. Yeah, a little bit like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, everybody's.
And this is the sim is called Oostenbeck, which I asked him, does that mean something? No, apparently it doesn't mean anything.
It's just a name.
It's
Well,
a
why
strange
not?
name, but it has no special significance.
No particular historical meaning
No,
or
apparently not.
meaning. Okay, let's shoot ahead a bit more. Gets a bit. You've seen one, you've seen them all, but this was the right. This the bit here, I think. There's an even nicer bit coming up, but suddenly the lighting changed. We were in a room where, depending on how you were viewing it, the projectors and the lights were, showing different color. And you suddenly thought, well, this is underground, like all those dark caverns we were walking around, but it's so spectacularly lit. It's like another world.
But it's actually really cleverly done because you're able to. It's really hard, isn't it, to get the right height in any kind of underground space because
Yeah,
if it's too high, you lose the effect of it being underground, and if it's too low, it's deadly because you can't cam. It's difficult to walk except in mouse look,
yeah,
and so I think it's incredibly clever the way they've done it.
yeah. I found that a bit challenging at one point because I think it was on a Strong Great Canadian grid, and the complex is still on the Metaworld grid if I ever get it up again. But Joe Builder I'd seen an underground
Well,
thing he'd
he's
done.
just a master.
He came along, for free, and he just literally built in half an hour. I think it took a whole network. It was like a labyrinth,
He's
right?
just a
And
genius.
basically, I then just realised that all I need to do is put the flat prim on top, big one, and then terraform that. And I think that's the first time I was
Ah,
able to figure out how to terraform with mesh on a flat prim underneath, which nobody ever saw, of course, which provided the roof for the underground bit. So, because obviously in Open Sim and Second Life, you can't dig further than the ground, so you can't actually drill a cave with like a mole or anything. You got to start from scratch and say, right, well, the 3 levels underground is the real ground, and you disguise the layers you put on top of it, until you get to a layer you want to feel like the real ground level, and then you sort of decorate on top of it. But it's easy to get your head around once you do it, but it's quite a lot of work to actually do it. And as you say, the
absolutely.
last thing you want is underground chambers where your head actually, you know, um, I'm very good at my avatar's fairly small. We're about the same height as avatars, I noticed the other day. Um, and one problem I had at one point was I obviously measured the height of a cavern based on the height of my avatar. It didn't occur to me that I might take someone in there who's a giant.
Absolutely. Well, this is the problem with any builder. Do you just make it for yourself?
Yeah.
Probably in the initial stage, you're just making it for your own satisfaction. But then, of course, comes the day when you think, well, no, I want people
Yeah.
to come and see this or sit on this or whatever it may be. And
You
all of
know,
a sudden, you've just built it for that's only good for your height.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's
This
a
is
very open sim problem.
I don't know whether you noticed it, but one of them fell in just now. This was tricky too. It was like the there was some other instances of a similar thing. You had to wait to the right time when you could actually cross. Again, you mentioned the Indiana Jones thing. Sort of, oops, if you fall in, it would have been really funny if he'd fallen in the water, but he didn't. So.
It would
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to scroll right ahead on this because there's got a lot more here, of course. So yeah, there was this just massive underground region underneath there.
This is a
And
great film because a lot of the things I didn't even see that you're showing
yeah,
me because I was a bit lost with in other places.
yeah. Well, I get that a bit too. Sort of, I just rely on following him with the camera, and it's we can look at this in depth at some point if you want. I mean, this is 30 minutes, so it's
Sure.
quite a big one. Um, okay, next on the list. This is just 4 seconds. Okay, a final overview there. Oh, and another
Look
one.
at that. That's lovely.
Oh, yeah, here's another one of the tricks. You have to avoid getting actually knocked in.
Pushed into the water. That's brilliant.
And you wouldn't, from looking from above at that one sim, and that the build, you would not realize that any of this is here. That is the genius of it, really.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's interesting. We were outside down the steps to actually get into it. It wasn't like a hidden passage, if I remember, in the building itself. It was the entrance to the catacombs was outside, and you obviously had to wander around to find that. And I probably never saw it, but following Max in camera, obviously he was able to take us to the right
And
place.
it's a great
Oh,
lesson in just walking round a build because it's
yeah.
tempting to just teleport from one part to another and you think
Here's
you've seen
another one.
everything and you haven't because there's all this other stuff going on.
You've got to look at it. It's just like a mad dash. A few people tried it before him and came a cropper. But he's obviously done it enough times to know. But look at these people at the side and that little teddy bear too. So they're under the chopper, so they're able to creep around the
Yeah,
edge without
that's
getting.
cheating.
I
That's
know,
cheating.
but if you're tiny, what the hell?
Yeah, well, that's true too.
Yeah, there's something else. Yeah. And of course, Matt says has to stand still because he has to wait for the rest of the troop to get through if they get through. It's not super realistic for a film or anything, but it's great to watch it being done. I mean, you can imagine making a sort of, as you say, an Indiana Jones machinima or something to this if it was just that bit.
Absolutely.
We need better in world physics where you actually sense the blade cutting or knocking you off or something. But yeah, but the idea, here we
You
are.
masochist.
Well, no, yeah, but if you want to make it into a compelling adventure, that competes with
There
what
has
you
to
would
be
see.
some jeopardy. That's true.
Yeah, just to compete with what you see in a cartoon or something. It doesn't need to have his head chopped off and blood spurting everywhere. It just needs to be hit. Yeah, let's okay. Bearing in mind, this is another 11-minute job, so let's move forward a bit here. Oh no, this was another bit we got to back in the underground again, which again just changed immediately because of the lighting. There's this bright light in this sort of chamber where we ended up, but in the little alcoves at the side, it's sort of darker, the blue purple hues, and yeah, I don't think there was anything much to do in this bit except we accumulated, and you just got the light sources seem to be changing as you watch them walk around. They're static in a way, but I don't know, the dark alcoves. And yeah, it took a while to get out of this. At some point, I'm going to flip forward a bit. Eventually,
Well, it's another one of those builds that it's you can have a lot of fun just by yourself or maybe with a friend. Definitely worth visiting again and again. I mean, Ineos is full of builds like this that just
yeah.
they take your breath away, and they're fun and interactive even if you're not in a big group. Really, the safari is an opportunity to just find the place, and then the real fun probably comes later when you go back and explore it and show it to a friend, and just experience it. The second time, it's always you're less confused by your environment, so it's less of a blur and more an in-depth visit. So yeah, it's one of those places that I plan to go back to this summer.
For sure.
I love his builds.
Hi, and I do see you. There she
Yeah,
is.
there I am. With my little prince dress.
Always recognise your avatar.
There's Luna.
I've done, I know avatars, but I can't put the names to them and things. I have to.
That's Luna Lunaria,
Yeah.
with the hair. Yeah.
Now, eventually, he's going to. Max is going to guide us down the steps there, I believe. Probably. We obviously spent a long time in this bit. Oh yeah,
Yes,
this I love.
the
This
final
I love.
part.
This is it. So he goes down the steps, and I followed him through there. Well, I didn't follow him; I lost him, but I followed this lady. And this reminded me of a fairy forest I put on one of my regions once. I mean, all these sort of plants and things, and with surreal colours. That you can't imagine these being on Earth anywhere. Although there are places underwater on our own planet, of course, that show colour a bit like this, but not above ground as far as I know. But of course, this is in a sort of building, cave, catacomb, or whatever, so the colours are independent of natural light. So who knows how such things evolve? But I loved it. So there's certain builds that just to me are a kind of magic. I just think I'm wandering in a magical wood here, and I keep forgetting that this is just one section that I've come to in a vast underground catacomb. If I'm rightly, nobody spent very much time in here. I think I spent longer camming in here than anybody else spent in here itself. But there's Matt's again. I remember the last shot I took when I was filming this bit was off to the side. I can't quite remember. Waiting for it to come impatiently here. Okay, I'm gonna go on the fast forward. We're nearly there anyway. Oh, right, okay. So yeah, he then TP'd us up to one of the sides of the island. So we're now under regular. You would never know what we'd just come up from underneath. I think I actually got teleported here by mistake. I noticed you're not here. I think a whole load of people are still down below, and I don't know whether we were meant to come up or not. But yeah, one more final one here, and yeah, this is the same region again. Just 53 seconds here of those statues and the colourful flowers and that magic wood, as it were. I don't
We
know.
call this the Garden of the Frightening Cleavage after the after those statues.
Oh God! And I forgot to turn my interface off for this one, so you can see my name tag over me, which is unusual because I don't normally film myself. So just one of those views. Okay. So we've done all that lot. Let me go back here. Right, we did that one. So okay, we're not doing badly here. I've just got a couple more at the top. Find out what they are.
This is back to Rox's party. The Museo del Metaverso,
Ah, of course.
which was all in voice, obviously. So,
And
and it was all in Italian.
it was all in Italian too.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's always
Obviously.
the same thing happened when we went to that Build on Inus. So everybody was talking in French. I think it's a bit of a lesson for us who are accustomed to English being the main language and
Yeah.
just talking away 19 to the dozen. When you go to a place where everybody's speaking a language you don't know, you suddenly think,
Yeah.
oh, that's what I'm doing to other people when I just go off on one in English. You know.
Some languages, like European languages, actually sound lovely anyway. And even if you don't
It
understand
sounds
them,
okay,
like,
but you're kind of lost
I,
if
you know,
it's
I,
just a tour.
back in my school days, I had a French teacher who had a really northern British accent, and he actually is the one who taught me to bark because he couldn't pronounce we, we no, So he was doing a kind of gruffy sort of we thing, and the more I tried anyway to imitate him, I ended up with a we, woo, 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 and that's how I learned to bark many years ago. But oddly enough, I used to read a lot of bande dessinée from France and stuff. Lovely artwork, but of course, if you read the dialogue balloons, you can guess what's going on, and over a period of time, you recognise certain words, and you sort of learn a little bit.
But that's always the advantage of the written word over speech, because even if they write in the language, you have a kind of a chance to, and you can scroll back. Whereas what happens is when people are speaking, that opportunity is lost. So if you lose the thread of the conversation, you can't scroll back and say, oh, hold on a minute, what are they talking about? And so you just get excluded in the end, because maybe you don't feel, we see this all the time on the safari, that people whose first language isn't English, they will interact and make comments and ask questions. But when the whole thing is in voice, those same people, they don't say anything. Because, they're a bit shy about, speaking English when it's not their first language. So you end up not wanting to, but they end up being excluded. And that's just, it's a shame, because the idea is that we're all there together. And presumably anybody who's in a virtual world can see pretty much, and they can read, because otherwise how the heck did they get there? So that kind of is the level playing ground that we operate on.
You've got the additions, so translators sometimes do a halfway job. But I think I think of it just like the real world. If I go over to Paris for a weekend, the French particularly, well, from what I remember, I haven't travelled much in recent years, but from what I remember, they're so protective of their language. They've even got a ministry for the protection of the French language. We haven't got one here.
That subject came up on the night.
Yeah, and it's quite funny because you learn basically. I mean, if I'm forced to go to Paris and I maybe I've remembered a few phrases about how to order a coffee and get it hot and stuff like that. I remember I was a young kid.
The problem is this, Mal. One thing is that you try and figure out how to order a coffee. Another thing is that you go to a place because the person's going to tell you why they built it and how they built it and what they're going to do, and you can't understand a word they're saying. That's a problem.
I one of my favorite stories is I think it was the first time I ever went to Paris, and I must have been about 18. I think I was on my own, not when I went there, but at the particular time this occurred, and I'd lost my way, sort of thing, somewhere south of the river. And this is me as a young hippie, long hair, looking like the archetypal hippie at the time. And the establishment, especially the police, did not, especially in France, were not exactly friendly. But I went up to the gendarme and I actually, asked him very carefully, according to my Facebook, where was the place I was trying to get to. And it didn't occur to me I wasn't going to understand the reply. And I made more of a fool of myself, stuttering it, trying to get out of the conversation because he did reply, and his French was French, and it went at the speed of light, and
Of
I had not
course.
a clue what he was talking
That's
about.
exactly what happens in the safari because everybody says, "Oh,
Yeah,
we'll speak slowly," and they do for like 2 minutes, and then they just
yeah,
go up to full speed,
yeah. The
and
French,
all the other people. And remember, it's a Wednesday night.
yeah.
Everybody's been to work all day. Most of us have a job, so we're all tired. We've already had a long day, and then you're expected to follow full speed English, which is not your language. That's a tough ask, and I'm always amazed that people keep coming back to the safari despite it. Really. So I
Okay, well
thank everybody who does
that's
that.
kind of the end of my backlog of Safari clips, excluding the ones I
Mm.
took this week, which haven't transferred here yet. But I did whilst the festival's been going on. There's been somebody at YouTube has been publishing a lot of them. It basically, as well as the stage videos, which are like obviously a performance about an hour long. Um, um, I, um, unfortunately, I took my camera things weren't working because they weren't having scripts in there, so I ended up with a whole load of silent footage of Karima, and I only managed to get an audio feed into it near the end. But the other person who was filming or got that, so I'm really looking forward to that. That should be good. But whoever is actually doing these films, I don't know who he is myself. But she did one, which you're about to see. You saw just before we came on air. This is a region by you, but it's not the region that you and I are adjacent on, where the stages are. This is another region entirely. So maybe you can chat away over this. Tell us all about it. There's
Sure.
music behind it too, which is rather nice. So it's 4.5 minutes this one. Oh, there will
Yes,
be.
this is. I was asked to participate, and there's a sponsor area for the safari, which has got the hypergrids and things like that I made in the past. But this part had to be medieval or fantasy built, so I went with a medieval look. So it's like a hortus conclusus, but with safari touches. So you've got the garden, and there's a tower in the middle, and then there's a portico around the four sides. And inside each one, this is a thing that there is where I live. So I really wanted to do that. Is to put these frescoes. So there are 16 images, and they're all borrowed from people who very famous artists like Fra Angelico, and there's Raphael, and there's different ones in there. And but I've kind of modified the pictures slightly so that they tell the story of the safari, and it begins with leaving Second Life, moving to Open Sim. What did that mean? How is that different from Second Life? And then it talks about Pathfinder and the Hypergrid Adventure Club, and then there's a picture of the four of us girls who started the safari, and then just kind of tells the whole story right round to today. So if you go in there, the important thing is to look at the pictures, and they'll tell you, all about our adventures in a way, and it kind of explains how it works as well. That's what I was going for. So each picture has writing on it. You'll see little strips of writing, and you just read them, and they tell the story. And the music, I was lucky enough to find a station which plays medieval music. So when you go into that parcel, and if you turn on the music, you will hear it. See how each one says something?
Yeah.
That one there says it will take you 45 years to see all my Sims, because that's a classic situation we have. That people, an hour is not enough to see our land. I'm like, well, we appreciate that, but this is just a taster of what it is to that you have on your land. Obviously, you can't see everything, so that's how that works.
That's the
And
most
I
beautiful
tried to
thing.
make it funny, and I hope you enjoy
I
it.
love
The
this.
sim is fluorine,
I love
and
this
there's also
skybox
Cherry
thing.
Manga is in with me, and Nara is on the same sim, and Susie is on there, and a bunch of other people. So it's all very interesting.
So
Debichi is also
you
there.
weren't just building the clubhouse bit. You were doing all this as
No,
well.
well, no, I built this. It was fun. I like to do a little meshing, and I
Yeah.
built that from scratch. With a little bit of help with the tower I got, but the rest of it I built myself, including the drops.
I love that skybox thing that you get in a lot of mesh worlds, where there's planets and things in the sky, in the background on the horizon. That's a nice effect too for the sky. You know, it's just.
Yeah, that's an EAP that I think Cherry set up. So you can see
No,
that works
it would
really
be
well.
Cherry, wouldn't it?
Of course, who else? The queen of the EAPs.
Oh right, it's in the next section now. This is Laurie and Tamor. Don't know.
Oh,
Um,
right. Okay.
So so-called whoever filmed this, again, I'll get his name on you. I think he is a Mike Simon, but not Mike Laurie. Um, yeah, I'll just have a look at the others. So that was yours.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Snoots. Rascal Flats. This is super. This is also on the same sim on Fluorine.
I'm going to go a bit forward on this because it looks like it's been filmed slowly. Give it a sliding forward. I keep forgetting I'm not in a camera. I keep right clicking by mistake. Just moving forward a bit though, so we can get to a bit more. It's one of Lunaria's is coming up as well. That's 8 minutes, so that'd be a nice one to watch if we got time. I think I've lost it. I remember when I was sitting there putting all those rocks down next to the clubhouse and thinking, what can I do? What can I do? To avoid
Yeah,
my
because there's so many great builds, and they're all so different. That's what I love
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it. Every single one of them is a different take, a different style, a different comprehension of the what it means to be fantasy or medieval. So it's lovely, and it's just lovely to see all the names of all the different people at the music events, and they're all from different grids, and everybody
Yeah.
seems to find a friend. Says, "Oh, Crowns, it's so long since I saw you." So it's, I mean,
Yeah.
Shalane has just done a great job, and the whole team has. Rosa has been absolutely outstanding, organising the music, and it's just so far we've gone really, really well. Obviously, there's always a few teething problems, but they've been on the case the whole time, very dedicated. Seth Nygaard behind the scenes, he built the grid, and he's the maintenance man. So it's just exceptional spirit of teamwork, and it's just so much time dedicated for free
Yeah.
to make the thing happen. It's been great.
Yeah.
And of course, this is only the first weekend, it's a 3-day weekend. We have next weekend will be the same thing, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then the weekend after that, the same again, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That Sunday is the 24th. That will be the last day of the festival. So it's a long haul, but it just shows how many people were interested in being involved. Yeah, this is the build, of course, for Open Sim World. So that's great. You can see all the different tools. Many of them are things that I didn't even know you could do with Open Sim World. So it's pretty interesting.
Okay, the next one is Lunarius, I think, with a nice thing here. Very slow moving, nice thing that is. This is rather similar to the place we went with the underground cascades, on the surface, that is, of course. But she's rather well known for
Well, we saw her build. Do you remember on Wolf Territories when we went to
Yeah.
Luxor? That's
Yeah.
her. That's her stuff.
I did.
She's
Yeah.
just a great builder. So
When
beautiful, so elegant.
I think the week before, Wolf was actually on the show here. The week before we went there, and he was certainly raving about her quite a lot. He had, I think it was mostly still pictures we had of her work, but yeah. I'm moving forward just so we get the. I'm sure you better find these on YouTube to watch at some point. So my purpose here is just to get a quick overview, not play all 8 minutes.
Right.
This is very
I
simple.
found. Can I just mention that it's Michael McHugh who's been doing the film, that wonderful filming he's been doing
Yeah.
for Open Sim Fest. And if I may, I'll just maybe I can put it in the comments afterwards underneath his channel. Very much worthwhile subscribing to it, because he's got loads of videos showing stuff that's been happening. He's done a really good job.
Yeah, I've got the
Michael
getting all-
McHugh.
Yeah. James may be able to copy that from chat into the screen. I'm not quite sure. Forget how.
Yeah, I'll work on it.
It might be a bit long. But we'll see. Yeah. I was a bit surprised because I basically just saw one entry from him and immediately subscribed, and I basically pasted it as a a live feed from OpenSim, and then Selena got back to me and said they were posting it here, and then I think instead of doing live feeds, they persuaded him to do what we do, basically record a session or a scene, so it wasn't a continuous a live feed. But yeah, it's wonderful stuff. Very good camera work. Although,
Yes.
the music, the music is chosen here suits all of the builds. Really, it's very abstract, but it does evoke sort of peace, calm, and like stealth. The way that his camera is moving very slowly to get all this in. In fact,
It's a mysterious and majestic at the same time. It's a great build.
Yeah, and actually, even in World here on our Inworld screen, it looks quite good because that can look a bit jerky, but because of the speed of the film, it just feels like a rapidly moving flick book. On not here, but on the Inworld screen. So it's lovely. Okay, I'm gonna go zoom on.
Yep, I've had the name of the YouTube channel up on the screen. So.
There we are. Okay, Michael McHugh Creative. Very good.
Oh, good, because he really deserves the credit because he's done a fantastic job.
So that's Luna's.
And of course, this what we're looking at right here, and also the OpenSim World build. These are actually on the same group of 4 sims that forms the event area. So it's event 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right.
And so you can be dancing, but you can cam out from the dance floor and see all these builds and have a good look at them. Or you can go walking if you choose to. So you can combine education with entertainment.
I remember that because when we were discussing it and we were building, sort of, you told you were going to angle the clubhouse at like 45 degrees so people could see it from the dance area. And, I moved the Inworld Review sign, so that it was facing that area. But of course, when we did all that, the stages didn't exist. And of course, when I arrived, I was at the stage and I think, now where are we? And I was looking about panning around. Of course, there's one stage, another stage, another stage. The view is actually that we took great care to angle for is actually blocked. But we're not far away, so as you say, people can just walk
Quite
around.
good enough. And I saw lots of people wandering around the outside, taking it all in. So I'm sure, it's just worked out really well the way they've done it. Of course, there are many other sponsor things. If you go to, for example, the HG Welcome region, there's a fantastic spaceship there, and there's like a TARDIS. There's a bunch of things you can go and visit there. I think this is it. This might be the spaceship on HG Welcome. And it's like Firefly, if you ever saw that TV show. Anyway, this Replicant City is the name of them. region
the
by
clip
Snoots.
says Snoots. Yeah, that's it. Snoots Dragon. It says here. Yeah. Oh, good timing then.
And
Yeah,
this is on the sim
I,
where you arrive. When you arrive via hypergridding, this is the
yeah.
first thing you'll see,
All right.
which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, when watching the other stages and then looking in our areas, I hadn't really, I hadn't really done any hypergridding out. I remember when Cheryl took us on the a preview thing, and we ended up with, you know, it was a sim with like 4 meditation areas, but you couldn't see what was going on in the adjacent one because of privacy
Yeah,
things.
because a lot of stuff wasn't finished when we came. We
Yeah.
came a little bit too soon, really.
And but it's quite funny. I mean, when I arrived at the real thing, I couldn't at first sight actually find any way of teleporting over to those other regions. But of course, I arrived on our landmark. I never actually arrived on this on this particular place.
Yeah,
I
you see, you're
presume
supposed to
there's
come in through the front door.
yeah, I presume there's teleports in there. And I
Yeah,
can't
there's a whole network. It's such a huge such a huge grid. There's so much happening that it's normal to be a bit confused.
Yeah.
It's not that straightforward. I don't think it could ever be that straightforward because there's just too much going on. You have
Yeah.
grids like Kitely, you have merchants from the grids that like the money, you have all the other exhibits from the grids that don't use money, and then you have the dancing area, then there's the Zen guy. There's so much going on, and then there's some really spectacular stuff happening,
I mean,
gonna happen. So.
I must say, I hate to say it, but I've spent the last couple of days cursing Globits. Because
Oh, me
I can't
too.
move. I can't move without them trying to get me in there again.
Please,
I've got
could
to do
somebody
it.
tell that guy? And you just have a button that says, "Don't ask me again." That's all I want.
That's all
That's
I
all
need.
I'm asking.
And I
It's
actually have
just
a
so,
Globit.
and it makes you hate glow bits. It doesn't make you want to
Yeah.
have them. It just makes you detest them for
Yeah.
being insisting. Every time you land, it's glow bits.
Globits,
I've never hated anything more in my life than that message.
Oh, is this your? Oh, is this our?
No, this is not my. I can't remember who did this, but it's very beautiful.
I
This
don't
is
know.
on. It's
Yeah.
on fluorine now. I saw
Hopefully,
it today.
well, hopefully this guy Michael will actually film ours at
Well,
some point.
it's pretty simple. The two regions that have the just exhibitors rather than the shops are fluorine and oxygen, and so those are the two that have a huge amount of individual efforts, and then the others have bigger plots, and they're pretty interesting also. Some of them are sponsored people, and some of them are merchants. But if you're looking for the sort of Joe average exhibitor, then you want those two sims. At the moment, those are the two. So that's fluorine and oxygen. Pretty easy to remember. Breathing and teeth, which is everything in life.
That's it. It's like the catch-all things. You've forgotten your password. Well, give me a hint. Sorry. Pete. I'm terrible. I never remember. You know, if I was watching this now, well, listening to now, I would never remember this. I remember fluorine because I think that's. Well,
But it's so cool because Shalane is she's a bit of a poet in her way, because if you actually look at the initials of the fest is OSF, right, for Open Sim Festival, but so you've got oxygen, sulfur, and fluorine, and if you look at the regions. If you look at the regions from if you look at the regions from the map, you'll see that they actually draw out the letters OSF. So if you see an F, that's fluorine. If you see the O, that's oxygen. So it's she worked a lot on it. It's just an amazing job.
very clever. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. She's a smart lady.
Yeah, she's slightly. She has hearing difficulties, of course, so I can't really. It would have been nice to have had her commenting on that. When we collected a lot of
Who
these,
knows? Maybe another time.
I might do another show, you know, and do it like we're doing this, but when there's a greater accumulation of things to see.
Now
This
this
very
building is interesting because Luna made this building to help merchants. I'm not talking about whatever's in this building, but the actual structure was designed by Luna so that anybody who wanted to be a merchant and put their stuff on the festival didn't have to think about building a shop. They could just use
right.
this ready-made building. So that's a really
Oh, nice.
nice addition. And of course, very attractive. She always got the beautiful textures. So.
It beats the old Linda Kelly days, doesn't it?
I think we may have
Me a
moved on
shop,
just slightly.
or is it an office, or is it a home? I'm not knocking Linda Kelly. She did such wonderful work at the beginning, but I remember there's a
Oh, we've
time
got so many more people now, and there's
everywhere
different
you went.
skills, you know.
Yeah, it was a
There's
time when
different skills
everywhere you
now,
went.
and there's especially with the mesh, you know, it's taken it all to a different level.
Oh, now what's this one? Oh, a nice sky there, but it's regular sky, isn't it? Sherry Net Creative HQ. Oh, Sally S. Cherry, aka Cherry Network. It's not Cherry.
Now, I don't know if you know Sally at all. She's a really nice lady, and she is just a dynamo of learning and using. She has some regions on Kitely, and they're all about medical, learning to work in the medical field and be like a researcher or help do testing for diseases and stuff like that. And it's really fun. Her build is talking about what a virus is like, how it works, just fantastic stuff. And again, she's one of these people that has managed to combine her virtual existence with a real life career. A fantastic, really lovely person too. And she's over on Kitely.
She also did the
He
presentation.
has the region
on,
that has the longest name I've ever seen in the history of Sims, though. It's like it runs to about 50 letters or something. So that's interesting.
Sally Cherry did the presentation about NFTs also at the last OSCC. I think.
Oh, yeah. She's into all those things. She's a fun lady.
Funny, whenever I hear the name Cherry, I think of cherry mango. But
Me too. Yeah.
It's sort of,
It's like the name has been taken.
Yeah. Now, talking of which, although Mike Lowry did not film these, there's a final clip here which just says Mike Lowry on it, which I guess is his. Oh, this, of course. Now, this is right next door to us on the main
Yes.
thing, isn't it? This is the Space Museum.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he comes round enough, we might get a glimpse of my mess.
Oh, it's cute. I like that little garden. It's a little quiet area there. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I wondered if I don't know, but there's nothing there for people to go. But I you know, little touches. I put all the rabbits around the little stage there in case I ever did anything on the stage. So there's a whole.
Yeah, I saw some people in there today looking at the rabbits.
And there's also if you go up to the stage and then turn around and look back, there's a little semi-hidden cave there too. Originally, I was going to try and put some surprise in the cave if people found it, but I couldn't think of it. I couldn't find a surprise, you know. Yeah, my avatar had a limited inventory to play with.
It sounds a little alarming, I have to say.
Yeah. Oh, the cave's the same thing I've got on our broadcast region here. It's just like a nice little thing for a one-to-one fireside chat if I was filming something like that. And there's another place I've got which is good for filming if I'm just facing direct to camera with monologue. So yeah, we do actually have, as I say, it's next door to this. We have Thursday here has the clubhouse replica, as it were. You took away some of the gates, didn't you? I guess they can come to.
Well, it was pointless to have. Yeah, it was pointless to have so many gates. Obviously, they're very laggy. So the original idea was to do that, but so in the end, you can find the landmark givers are all inside the building. So if you're interested in the self-guided tours, those are available inside the building. And then I just over the years, I've made from mesh different hyper gates. And so I just dug in my inventory and just pulled them all out. And so you can get those if you want them. And there's a box that has a working one. And then there's just a dead hyper gate, just as a display model.
I always thought they were a bit. It's the same with the Open Community Conference and stuff. I mean, I suppose it's okay at the end of the day if I give people a link to go to a club to hear some music and it's associated with the conference. But when you're organising these things, you actually want to give people as much as you can, but you don't want to give them an invitation to go away.
Yeah.
And
Well, actually,
providing
Selena's been really good about that. She's just
Yeah.
always, she told everybody, if you want to give a TP link or something for people
Oh,
to
yeah.
come and see your sim, then no problem. She said
Yeah.
it'll be handy if you give them a TP to come home. They
Yeah,
have a landmark
exactly.
to come back.
But that's a bit
Obviously.
like you remember when people did blog rolls, and the idea was you had a little column of all your friends' blogs, but in return they had to have your blog on their blog roll, so it was like an exchange. You could
It's
go to
like, yeah, Twitter followers do that.
any link, any link on the blog roll would get a link back to you if you needed it. So yeah, that works. Right, well, I think we're on the last one here. Yeah, the other ones are the ones I showed at the beginning. So we've actually got through a whole load of these, and of course these ones aren't even mine, but they were great to talk over. So
It's a great job. Yeah.
yeah. So can you remember where that spaceship is? The one that is the official landing point? Do people just click
Yes,
on
it's called HG. The sim is called HG Welcome. There's a dash between the HG and the Welcome. Hold on, let me just. I have it here. I'm
We
going to
can
put the
that,
whole
maybe
address. Sure.
Yeah, if James can put
have-
that on screen
yeah.
too, instead of the YouTube thing.
There you go.
Okay, grid, Davidson best
So you need that little, and another thing to look out for is it's not 8002 like 90% of grids. It's 8022, which can mess with your head. So that's just another thing to look at.
Okay. So then they'll land at the spaceship one, and unlike me,
They
will
will.
actually.
That's the
They
proper
will
place
get
where you're
all
supposed to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're supposed to land there because the idea is that then you res on the grid without bringing all your lag of loading to the place where all the people are. So the idea is you land on HG Welcome, you load on the grid so the grid knows who you are, all your clothes arrive. So, and then you go to where the music is or to see the exhibits or whatever without showing up half naked or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, that's great.
All right, well, you guys, I'm going to have to leave you. It's been fun chatting.
Okay, the address is on screen now. So that is fine. Let me pause this and we'll just get back to a final view of us before we go. Now, sadly, we lost Worley. I rang him into this conversation because he finally ended up on Discord, but he never picked up. And he never logged back in World. It might have been a bit ambitious. I thought it was a simple process, but of course he also joined us on Discord after I'd already gone live with my desktop, which didn't help. But anyway, I think that's that. Are you still here, Thursday? Before you?
Yes.
Yeah, good. You haven't run yet. Okay. Just before we go, I'm changing my screen back to couple of links here that are on the Metaworld News site from this week. Discovery Grid has a YouTube up celebrating their 6th year, which again we're not going to play.
Congratulations!
There's 15 minutes of it there, but it's rather nice. Discovery Grid Year 6 is what you want there. If you want to look it up there, lots of fireworks and pretty stuff that you might expect in the virtual world. 10 beers running is the person who actually put it up.
Great guy. Yeah. What a genius that guy is. 10 beers running.
Now, this is the chat we've already given you at YouTube. Um, this came up as OS Festival opening. Michael McHugh again. This was the very first thing I picked up from him, which he was just running live. So he had all the opening musicians one after another on one film, so to speak. So this one you'll find at his, as I said, Michael McHugh on YouTube, and this one is a grand total of 2 hours 15 minutes from the opening night.
Indeed.
Then you might want to comment on this. Some blog called HG Safari at blogspot.com. ever heard of that?
They just passed across my desk. Yeah, so I just wrote today a little bit about just talking about the different what we've seen today, all the different exhibits that there are. So if you're dancing, you can look out and you can see all the different things. And right there, you see the photo of Karima's. Yeah, it's a cool idea because each of the stages, there were 4 stages, a stage on each sim. So the performer or artist, or in this case poet, can come in and they can personalize their stage. So they don't just have to stand on just like a Woodstock situation where they just go up on the same stage, everybody on the same stage. Yeah. So she obviously had transformed her stage, was like an Arabian Nights thing, which is
she'd actually turned the stage into a venue in itself.
Exactly, and a lot of other people did it today. Clan Escotia, they had they have a thing about Vegas or bust, and they have a little bit at the beginning of the show. So there's the car, and it's got a trailer, and anyway, it's a fun act. So it's a really nice idea because if you want to, you can have a visual thing going on as well as your music. You don't have to because the normal stage is pretty nice too. But if you want to go the extra mile, you can, as Karima did there.
Yeah, well, somebody like Karima needs that image behind it. And the thing that I love about her actually is not just the poetry, but the fact that she's often she actually publishes them as machinima. She's got this lovely camera work.
Exactly.
Worlds, and then this
360 degrees artist.
This haunting voice over the top of it. So she had to do her best here with still images, but she did very well. I thought I loved it. Yeah. My highlight of the first day. You've also rather nifty with the old animated gifs here, aren't you? Which is which? Snooze Dragon's got to be the pussycat. Holodoc Henley is the humanoid, yeah? Or have I got it wrong?
Yeah, there they are. It's Snoot dancing with Mr. Clarky himself. That was fun.
Yeah, I think it's a synchronized dance because the cat is.
It's just brilliant because I loved it.
Copy the animation. It's like a human owner and a pet, and the poor pet's trying to mimic its owner.
It's brilliant.
Okay, now this one, that area there is my area and your area. That's if you can see where the hand of my mouse is over. With the arrow on Inworld that's where the clubhouse is, and then that's where that loud bit there. That's the Inworld review side.
There's a better picture lower down.
Yeah, and then of course, you see the way the corners all fit together of the 4 regions, and what's happened here, of course, is that anybody in the audience there is actually seeing whoever's on stage and dancing in front of them, so they don't easily kind of see behind. Luna, again, we saw the video of that one, of course, and we saw some.
Our friend Wolf.
Yeah. Oh, of course, yeah. This again is on our same main region. In fact, when the bit I did, where in my review, I just didn't know what to do. I was making up as I went along, but I was inspired by Wolf's because Wolf's region is very reminiscent of what I've done in the past on
absolutely
stuff. And it's actually a bit of a shame there's a sort of modern little building in the middle. Otherwise,
I think it's nice because they're two very different builds compared with the others. It's great.
Yeah, I don't know if mine was next to this, I think they'd blend rather well. But anyway, nitpicking. Yeah, that's the OpenSim tools one. Yeah, so you've got plenty of. Now that's the close up of the Safari, isn't it? Some,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't recognise it when I first landed because the portals that were there are now replaced by trees and palm trees and stuff, and the ground. Oops, what happened then? Oh, God. Oh, well, that's nice. Okay, I'll go full
Yeah,
size picture.
each of these things you see, the sculptures, they're each of these is a hypergate, so a
Right.
blam gate. So obviously these ones don't work, but there's a little box next to each one that
Yeah.
contains a working version of it. So if you've got an African build, maybe you want this one. If you've got a Chinese build, that's like
Yeah.
the willow pattern, China. There's an Egyptian one. There's a Japanese one. There's an
And
Italian one.
you can pick up all these on the Safari region.
And
You can
yeah, they're free. I
yeah.
made them a long time ago.
drop the landmark into them. Yeah, so that's sort of, yeah, I like that one there. It stands out. Okay.
I think
so-
this is 8 or 9 of them.
Right. Bring out again. Oh, right. Now, yes, of course.
And there you are.
And now zooming into another picture here. That basically is, although it's a bit awkward, the mechanics of doing any event kind of. Oh God, why am I right clicking trying to pan? Yeah, on the off chance we might be able to do something live and impromptu on the spot. A few little wooden, tree stumps for people to sit on, and a sort of little stage there. Which it looks like the stage is off centre from the sign, but I think that's just the angle of the photograph.
It is the perfectionist. Come on.
Somewhere down this way there's the hidden cave. But yeah, so just there's the proof we are there. Really. Okay, where's the darned oh, okay. And yeah, actually that's it. So those were just a couple of web clips from thing. So I read that. Okay, well I know you have to rush, and I held you up a little bit there for just a little finale, of course. But that's great. Now, just to remind, you did mention it earlier, but the next season of Hypergood
Yeah,
Safari
the next
will be-
season is another 10 weeks and it will begin on September the 14th. We're going to meet with Maria Korolov for the first hour. Then we go to see the fantastic, if you haven't seen it, you should go over there. Oncrea Novale, Kelso's Grid. He's done this amazing underwater journey thing. So that will be the second part of the first safari. We got loads happening this time. I mean, just one thing after another. It's going to be a great season. And the grand finale of this third season is we're going to Joe Builder, who has a Star Wars or Galaxy Wars inspired build that is like the clubhouse of Jabba the Hutt. And it's just amazing. It's fun. There's things to do. You can race around outside the building on a Star Wars type racing ship, and it's just amazing. So yeah, I'm really looking forward. It's going to be a great season, and 20 more destinations. And I hope you all enjoy it. I'm already looking forward to it. So if you don't come, that's okay. I don't mind going on my own. It's going to be brilliant.
I've got something here. I don't know. Talking of Star Wars, somebody published in the week episode 1 of something called Larry, which is. I'll just cheat very quickly. Hang on, wrong. What's going on here? Oh.
Previously on Astro Contention.
Surprise, bitches!
You told me there's a bar here.
Yeah, my bad.
This one. You like it? Raise you. Well, I say we hit Jumbo's clown room. I'm your wingman. Your game is weak.
So I heard you had a good time last night. Jerk.
Oh, come on. I was totally gonna hit you up, and then Obi-Wan jumped out of a window.
Hello, sexy.
I'm a friend of Dex.
Oh, and you are.
I'm Larry. Larry Kenobi.
Would you like to buy some drugs, Larry?
Well, that's why I'm here.
Okay, well you'll find that on YouTube if you look up the Star Wars Larry. It's it's a montage piss take. It's 12.5 minutes long, so nice little feature there to keep you laughing. Sorry, I couldn't resist when you mentioned that. But yeah, Joe Builder is fine, and of course, a third an Outworlds, of course, is literally.
Yes,
pulled
we're
out.
going. We've got a Lord of the Rings event planned to mark the anniversary of the publication of the final of the 3 volumes, and that involves going to Hobbiton, and then we also go to a fantastic elven world by our old friend Roland Francis, who I'm sure you
Yeah.
remember, in Belgium. So that's sometime in October. Anyway, there's
Well,
loads going to happen.
Roland
So,
is still in an open sim, is he? It's funny because he used to be in Second Life, and he's a journalist too, isn't he, in real life in
you see,
Belgium?
you have to be nice to people because sooner or later you meet them again in open
Yeah,
sim.
because no, he used to be with us with Tara, me, and Chilbo in Second Life a long time ago, right at the beginning. If it's the same Roland Francis I'm thinking of. Anyway, that'd be interesting. Well, we will have fun. I'm not going to keep you any longer. As James will tell you, I have a great difficulty finding a way to close shows. But hopefully we will see each other. Well, we will anyway. But I mean, on the show here, maybe before the next season, so we can.
You bet. It'd be fun.
A
Thank
little
you.
bit of preview, and also what I'm going to do, obviously, is we've got over the next few weeks, there's going to be a bit, presumably that guy Michael is going to be, bringing out more videos and things like that. So maybe compile something so we can have a more thorough look at the Open Sim Festival in
That would be nice. Yeah.
its entirety, as it were, when it's a bit further in or even over. But it's a great
Absolutely.
thing, I must say, lasting for how many days is this? It's the 17th. Is it 3
It's
weeks?
17 days. It goes from the 8th of July to the 24th of July. That'll be the last day.
14. Yeah, so it's 2 weeks, 3 days. So that's big. It almost
It
makes me
is.
think of the conference when it usually
It's the longest festival I think there's ever been in Open Sim that has involved many different regions and many different grids.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of I guess there'll be one next year. And think about it, it'd be nice to, it makes in obviously we're talking avatars and machinima and in world filming, but in the bit, the BBC, for example, it has a unit called the Outside Broadcast Unit. So when I put that sort of stage up there, I thought, that if we have an outside broadcast opportunity, then that's sort of where it is. But they always, I think when we did the HIE thing, I had this idea, but it's just too much work with languages and stuff. But the idea that you'd have like a roving reporter and things like that. I mean, I helped do it once upon a time before it got too much with the Relay for Life people in Second Life, where we'd have all the different SL broadcasters getting together, and some people would be trackside doing interviews, others would be pre-recorded, others would be live, showing events and stuff. So you got a feeling there was a whole team of people there at the event, a bit like the BBC does Glastonbury or something. But I must say, looking at this festival, it sort of lends itself to that sort of approach, rather than just plonking people on stage and chatting like we do. The idea of wandering around, chatting, and now I've realised that Inworld voice seems to be on in there. Who knows what I might come up with in the next few days? Just bump into somebody and say hi, talk.
It'd be fun if we can do it. Who knows? Maybe something can work out. I've loved being here. I'm sorry I have to go. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Absolutely no problem. We'll close the show so you can leave delicately. So, everybody, yeah, thank you. I hope you've all enjoyed this. I mean, it's absolutely great to see this Open Sim Festival happening, and the sheer size of it, not let alone the actual things that are in it, is excellent job done by Selena and all concerned. I can't do the whole name roll. Yeah, surprisingly so. I mean, sort of a few obstacles aside, they're doing a marvelous job. So I hope we've given you a nice little teaser of it, and also some recent safaris, and also slight hints as to what might be coming in future safaris. And I'm sure there's something else I've forgotten. And when I get invited Thursday, I think, right, well, what kind of backlog have we got? But never done that. It will have to wait. Thank you to James too. Any quick questions, by the way, before Thursday runs?
Nope, I am good to go. Thanks, Mal.
You're good to go. Okay, right. So we will see you anon. Might be next week. It might be 2 weeks' time. It might be a month's time. It might be next year for all we know. The Inworld Review is a when it's ready kind of show, basically. So thank you very much to Thurza too. Thank you, Thurza.
Thank you so much for having me, Mal. It's been a joy.
Yeah. And we will all, one way or another, we'll all be returning soon. So I'll say good night for now. Or rather, I will say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good tomorrow, depending on wherever and whenever you are. Probably at the Open Sim Fest, but that's incidental. Bye for now.